All of us are here because of what a man and a woman did together. We survived for 18 years because of what a man and or a woman did for us. The issue of broken families is huge in our community. Even in the situation of both parents being there, the healthy relationship dynamic between the father and the mother is not there. This has an adverse effect on the children. You can trace the behavior of our people back to their upbringing and see the issues clearly. Our people have the parenting prowess of an ostrich, and we raise our children like goldfish. Derelict parenting comes standard in our community. The biblical command is simple and plain. We must honor our mother and our father, the ones who abused us, neglected us, and taught us absolutely nothing. As the song goes, when our parents died, all they leave us is alone. In reality, they mostly leave us with bills and unpaid car notes and mortgages. We end up in prison and on the street due to our upbringing. Some will make something of themselves despite these circumstances, but these are the exceptions and not the norm. There are 100,000 Pookies for every Nas or Kanye West. Our enemies will take that every day of the week, especially when they'll take those 100,000 Pookies and turn them against those who made it. Still, the biblical command is clear. Honor your mother and your father. What does this mean for the children of abusive or derelict parents? The command provides no exceptions. The fifth commandment is mandatory, regardless of the quality of your upbringing. Some will tell you we should be thankful for the bare and base minimum our parents did, providing food, clothing, and shelter for us for 18 years. A dog will favor the person who feeds it, but we're not dogs. We're human beings made to be higher than the animals and take dominion over the earth. Our enemies would certainly love to see such dereliction in parenting be praised. Such households will produce the type of person who will be no threat to a white supremacist society and will instead seek their place in it. The Willie Lynch letter spoke on how to get the oppressed to oppress themselves, how to get slaves to produce more slaves. If the process of oppression can be automated, it makes things infinitely easier for our oppressor to continue his way. Nevertheless, the command is still there. So how do we make this work? Remember, the Most High is a God of justice and will not enable evil. To honor someone means to treat them with reverence and high regard. We should not run down our parents. We are not to ignore their shortcomings either. The command does not say to love your parents. It only says we are to honor them. Some people don't have any type of relationship with their parents. They are not violating the fifth commandment by not wanting to have a relationship with them. We all know the saying, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. A way to honor your parents is to shield them from ridicule and protect their reputation. You can have whatever thoughts and feelings you have about your parents, however negative they may be, but you don't express them to others and you don't operate on those feelings. You do your best to be cordial with your parents. If you truly don't like your parents, the best thing you can do in order to honor them is to limit your contact with them as much as possible. There are things due to your parents and things not due. Love is not due. Love is based on value and must be earned. If parents wish to be loved by their children, they must raise them in a way where their children will see them as valuable. I said earlier how some will be thankful for the base things such as food, clothing, and shelter. That's fine. If that's enough for you, fair enough. For those who understand they need more than food to be prepared for the world they will go into, there will be a much higher standard. Respect is due, regardless of how you feel. We don't tolerate anyone's disrespecting our parents, and we don't make it a point to do it ourselves. What about Mother's Day and Father's Day? Again, respect is due. Love is not. Some will tell you this is an attitude of ungratefulness. Ungrateful for what? Doing the bare minimum and making sure your kids don't die? Other than keeping your children alive for 18 years, you did nothing for them. That's what the slave master said to the slave. I let you live. You need to be grateful. We're not slaves, and we're not hostages. This is horrendously disrespectful to the children. As I told you in previous videos, all relationships are based on value. If you provide the bare minimum, you'll get the bare minimum back. Another way to honor your parents is to make sure they have what they need, regardless of how you feel about them. If your parents fall ill, you should do what you can to take care of them within your ability. This doesn't involve spoiling them or giving them everything they want. It only means making sure they have what is necessary. Some will lavish things on their parents, and that's fine. If you value them enough to bless them in that way, go for it. Not doing so, or not desiring to do so, is not a violation of the fifth commandment. Another way to honor your parents is to obey them within reason. If your parents tell you to sell your house and give them the money, are you breaking the fifth commandment if you say no? You need to at least take their requests into consideration and endeavor to do them if they are within reason or within your ability. Endeavor to be as helpful to your parents as you can without injury to yourself. You're not required to put yourself in a bind to help your parents. Like I said, they gave you the bare minimum. That's what they get back. What does the fifth commandment not require you to do? One thing is you don't need to build a relationship with your parents. If you're estranged from your parents, you're not required to fix that. You can't go around bad mouthing them and smearing them, but you don't need to get on good terms with them. Though, if it's possible to do so, you should. If your parents call you, depending on the circumstances, you don't need to answer the phone. If their relationship with you is abusive or manipulative, you're not sinning by severing all ties with them. Like I said, you're not required to deal with your parents if doing so will be injurious to you. This is not about hating or despising your parents. Hopefully, things aren't so bad that these are your feelings. We live in the real world and not the ideal world. Things happen, and we need to deal with what's in front of us, and we need to do as the Most High commands. Honoring someone means we protect their reputation and shield them from harm. We pay taxes to an oppressive government we don't like. This is how we honor this government. We don't have to like the government to honor them. We stand for the national anthem at sporting events. We may not sing the words or put our hand over our heart, but it would be disrespectful to not at least stand. Don't get it twisted. In no way am I saying the acts of Colin Kaepernick were wrong. I fully support what he did in demonstrating for police justice. The point is, when we do this, we are dishonoring the government. Jesus told us to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Due to police brutality and murder of innocent people receiving no justice, such a demonstration was necessary to bring awareness and demand change. Outside of such circumstances, it would be unwise to make a habit of dishonoring the government in this way. We have to live and work under this oppressive government as punishment for breaking the Most High's law. And Paul made the point in Romans 13 for us to stay out of trouble. Don't be a sellout like Larry Elder and Candace Owens, but don't be a bug out either. Learn to pick your battles. The same for your parents. Pick your battles with them too. Perfect parents do not exist, but in our community, functional parents are rare. I despise the phrase, no one is perfect. This is a lazy cop-out to smooth over blatant dysfunctionality and substandard behavior. No one can be perfect, but everyone can be functional. Something that operates contrary to how it's supposed to work is not imperfect, it's broken. Parents complain about how the children don't know how to do this or that. Why are you not teaching them anything? Someone took the time to teach you this or that thing. Why are you not paying it forward? You have the ability to correct this error, and you choose not to, but you still want your children to look up to you. That's absurd. If they have to go on YouTube to learn things, then it makes perfect sense for them to have more respect and admiration for the people on YouTube than they'll ever have for you. This idea of holding parents who are derelict in their duty as parents in high esteem needs to come to an end. This attitude is producing bad people for society. It's producing people with no wisdom, no direction, no skills, and no goals or ambitions. You can't know what you've never been taught. Garbage in, garbage out. Your enemies know this and will fully support your dereliction. We don't just have the school to prison pipeline. We now have the school to Diddy party pipeline. School teachers don't allow their children to call them Mr. or Mrs. You must now call them Teacher Johnson or Teacher Jones. They're programming gender confusion into your children early, and they will succeed if you decide to raise your children like they're a ward from the state. The erroneous ideas people have about parenting come from thinking parenting and raising children is similar to learning how to ride a bike. The process of learning how to ride a bike is to get on the bike and ride. You're going to fall off on your first try, but this is the process of learning. You'll be bad at it until you're good at it. Taking this same approach to parenting would be disastrous. Many like to say you can't know anything about being a parent unless you're one yourself. Again, raising children is not like learning to ride a bike. Learning to ride a bike requires experience. You can do all the study and theory on bike riding you want, but you'll never truly learn unless you ride. Not so for parenting. Parenting requires education and training. You can have all the experience there is. If you're not instructed on how to do it right, all you'll do is mess everything up. You can't be bad at parenting until you're good at parenting. You'll be destroying your child while going through the process of going from bad to good. Being a parent should be seen the same way as getting a driver's license or becoming a commercial aircraft pilot. You can't just get in the car and drive, and you can't just get on an airplane and start flying. You need training in the understanding of the machine you'll be using and how to operate it, and supervised practice hours before you'll ever get a chance to operate these machines. With how critical parenting is to society, maybe we should require a parenting license before people can have kids. Obviously, this will never happen. Some like to say, your parents did the best they could. If a child gets behind the wheel of a car and totals the car, no one's going to say they did the best they could. They will instead ask who allowed this child to operate this vehicle and how they never should have been behind the wheel to begin with. Many will tell you it's up to the children to figure out life for themselves. If this is the case, should we give any credit to our parents for how our lives turn out? If we become successful in life, why should we credit our parents if they had nothing to do with it? If it's the children's fault if their lives turn out bad and it has nothing to do with their upbringing, then logically, the children get 100% of the credit if their lives turn out good and it has nothing to do with their upbringing. Outside of food, clothing, and shelter, the parents had zero input on how the children think and how they see the world. They gave their children no guidance. The kids did it all on their own without their parents. They may still thank you for letting them live for 18 years, but if they don't, they would have no reason to. Accountability works both ways. Children at some point must be held accountable for their lives, but also parents must be held accountable for the people they were derelict in raising and have infected society with. We can't use the Bible to gaslight. Honor requires us to not shame their name, but it does not require us to excuse their failure. The fifth commandment does not require children to like them, look up to them, or make them a part of their lives. It only requires us to not badmouth them, to protect their reputation from others, and to make sure they have what is necessary. Some will argue, what if I do teach them things and they don't listen? Children are like sponges. They naturally want to learn things. Children naturally pick up speech and language without taking formal courses. The problem isn't your children not wanting to listen. The problem is they don't want to listen to you. They're going to listen to and follow somebody or something. Your job as a parent is to gain influence over your children. A man having influence over his children is the same as having influence over his woman. Many males complain their women don't listen to them. These males make the mistake of scolding women for not listening instead of figuring out why they don't listen. Why have they tuned you out? Telling these males and these parents they just aren't the type of people who anyone wants to follow is more accountability than many of them can handle. This is why some people should not get married and should not have children. Not because marriage is bad or because children don't listen these days. It's because you are a deficient person. You're just not good enough. You don't have the gravitas to make marriage and family work. You think just because you're in the position or could get into the position that it'll go a certain way on its own. And that's just not how it works. Gaslighting and guilt trips isn't going to get the job done. You have to improve yourself to become the person people want to follow. And this is something you do before you get involved with a female and start having kids. Quite frankly, the majority of males today just need to remain in the friend zone. Until you better yourself, that's where you belong. You being able to hustle a woman into bed is a net negative for everybody: the woman, the kids, and the community. As I said before, if you want to be a leader, you have to lead. This means you take the initiative and you set the tone. You don't wait for people to get it right. You set them right. If you can't do this, you need to be like the Apostle Paul and leave it alone. This is why Paul said those who marry will face difficulty. Every human being has a right to an opportunity. Every human being does not have the right to a privilege. Those with issues with their parents are not coming from a place of hate, but from a place of discouragement. They have been provoked by their parents their entire childhood and don't know what to do. They've been told that discouragement is sin by the Christians and the parents provoking them. They have abused the fifth commandment as a tool to manipulate and control. This was not the Most High's intention. The fifth commandment was a commandment to establish social order, not to enable social chaos. Parents have an obligation to their children, and if they don't fulfill that obligation, they must face the consequences. One of those consequences is their children devaluing their role in their lives. This is the message for those with strained relationships with their parents, who also desire to adhere to the law of the Most High. Those in this situation should simply move on with their lives and not feel guilty about how they feel about their parents. Your indifference toward them is not sin. When it comes to dealing with people you don't like, who you are obligated to honor, the best and most wise thing to do is say nothing. The ultimate task of the parents is not to keep their children alive. The ultimate task of the parents is to prepare their child for the world they will enter. This is especially vital for our children, as they will enter a world that is inherently hostile towards them. If your parents raise you like a ward from the state, and not as someone being prepared to take their piece of the world, there's no reason to see them as valuable.